Okay, welcome to the next installment in the saga of the Philco Town & Country. So I managed to remove this and cleaned most of it up. And still getting a few spots where I couldn't get it before. Most of the wires did slip off, a few of them did not, especially in places where there were two stacked on top. One of them broke off and the other two were soldered. I do have them labeled, but I also took plenty of pictures. So I went through and started testing the resistors because I still have not made my order yet for the components for this K network or this K network, now that I've shoved it out of the way. Okay. So I went ahead and tested all the resistors. These two, I'm just not completely convinced they were replaced, but I'm not positive. These must get pretty darn warm because they're pretty far off the board. However, they have not drifted. Almost all of them are actually test quite well within less than 5%, with the exception of the 820 meg here, which is reading very low. It's actually reading about 400, and there's this so there's the 2.2 meg here is reading at 2.55, but it's a 10% resistor, so it's just barely out of spec, but I have one, so I'll go ahead and replace it. And then the 270K is reading at 350, so that's too high, so I have a replacement for that as well. Rest of them, like I said, are fine, and I'm just going through making sure that I have what I need. I also think I am going to, I was always told that you could replace these selenium diodes here with, come on, focus. This thing, let's see if I can, there we go. So I was always told that we could replace these with some Schottky diodes. So I'm just going to give that a shot since they're, like 15 cents a piece. Anyway, so come on, focus, good guy. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is go ahead and order that. The back of the board is pretty nasty, actually. So I'm going to clean the back of the board up here. And the focus does not like shiny things. There we go. So it's okay. The only place I seem to have a cracked pad actually is this mounting point, and I did it when I was unsoldering the tabs to pull the board off. So anyhow, I guess there's a close-up of the board. Alright, so I will be back. Welcome back. It's been a few days since my last segment was filmed, so if I get repetitive, I'm sorry, and if I miss a detail, well, maybe I'll add it in. But anyway, so where I am now is I'm going to go ahead and tackle the capacitors here. One of the things that I've been doing for the last couple of days is kind of thinking about how I want to approach this. Because, I am learning still, so I kind of want to do a little bit at a time and then see what's going on with the set, so I get a better idea of how everything works. Unlike the way I sort of tackle the radios, which is just replace everything and then hope I wired it up right and everything works. So apparently this cap, I'm assuming, has been replaced before because it is an Aerovox and not a Philco, and it's a 180 microfarad. And I was concerned, it's supposed to be 120 or 130. Anyway, I've got 150. And there's, over on this side, this 4-section cap, I'm still kind of going back and forth whether I want to restuff it or not. And I don't really want to restuff it because I kind of hate doing that. And another thing is I kind of like what Bob Anderson did on his was he replaced this and put in a terminal strip and packed them down inside here, which gave a little more breathing room, and I do think that's probably a good idea. Since this isn't even the original Philco, I'm not going to bother with it, restuffing it anyway. This is also an isolated ground. I say that now, but I should be careful because I did not trace out both of these wires. Anyway, so I have 150 microfarad to go in there. And I guess what I'm going to do is take this terminal strip here, attach it where the mount was, and then mount this cap below with the wires above. As for this one here, I think I'm going to probably do the same thing, although it is a 3-section. So I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with that necessarily, because I only have, of course, I have about a half a dozen of these 3-terminal with the ground, and then 1 of these 4 terminals, well 5, but the center one's a ground, which will work perfectly in here. So it looks like I'm probably going to do a radio days order at some point again. I'm going to need a larger one of these anyhow, because on the back side of on the back side up here, where the 27 ohm and then the 5.6 ohm, I'm sticking my tummy out there. the fusible resistor back here is not very good. It looks like it's been replaced before, and I'm assuming it burned up because well, actually, hold on, I'll flip this around. Alright, so that was kind of a pain in the butt. I had wires anyway. So here, where the fusible resistor, plugs in, and there's this larger terminal board here. Now, if you look here, there's a great big hole in it because it burned up at some point. Assuming that this just got so hot, the original one, or maybe even this one, I'm not sure. It's supposed to be 5.6 and it's reading at 7.9 or 8. I think it was flip-flopping back and forth. So I'm going to have to deal with this. I'm assuming I'll put a resistor in line. Looks like the entire B plus hangs off of this, and my assumption is because the power goes in one side through here and then comes down into the the Aerovox that's been replaced. So my assumption is this one down here, the original one, probably shorted or was leaking, which caused this to go ape poopy and take out this terminal strip. So this 27, I'm also assuming, is a replacement. Or this 25, I mean, it is reading at 27, which I'm sorry, it's a 27 ohm at 25 rod. It reads 27.1. So, I mean, that's about as close as you're gonna get to right on. So, like I said, it looks like everything goes through this 5.6, the whole load. So I'm going to need to measure the current so I can figure out the fuse. And I guess the question is whether I need to do a slow blow or a fast blow. And I'm assuming a slow blow because of the fact that when I first power the set on, the ammeter jumps up to about, momentarily jumps up to about 3 amps and then drops down to 0 and as things start to heat up. So yeah, so that's where I am on that. The other thing is, I guess I'm going to have to, well, I don't have to because we know it works. I guess I'm going to need to test the yoke and the flyback. I do have the pinouts for that. I just have never done it before, and there's 8 wires, so I guess I'll learn pretty quickly. I do have a ring test built into my Sencor LC102. It does do yokes and flybacks, so I guess I'll learn quickly how good that is. I have looked at the yoke and flyback testers that you can pick up for 10 or 12 bucks, but I went and got to look at their circuits, and it just seemed to me that those things were so simple. I can't imagine that they did any better of a job than this super expensive Sencor would. Don't know about the LC53 on top either. I do still use this one, mostly for like if I want to form a capacitor, especially if it's been sitting on the shelf for a while. Because I do have the plunger, which will work for both of these, but I guess basically what I'm saying is if I'm going to burn anything up, I'll burn this one up before I burn this one up, because this one costs a hell of a lot of money to fix if it breaks. So I do also have my capacitance bridge ICO, which I can pull out and use for forming as well, but I prefer the, since I own it, I might as well use the better equipment. So I'm babbling, sorry. So I figured I'd learn how to do that. And that's about where I am. I'll go ahead and upload this now because I had to make a DigiKey order because, of course, all the components I'm going through here, for a 1963 set, this thing sure does use some odd-ass values, let me tell you. And of course, everything that needs to be replaced that's out of tolerance is all not only a weird value, but they seem to be 2 watt. So, or I shouldn't say weird value, I should say a value I've never had to buy before. So what you can't see back here is there is an 18K 2 watt resistor that is part of the contrast circuit. It's supposed to be 10%, and it's reading at 22.5. So that's more than 20% out, I guess. So I have that on order. Fortunately for me, I had to order all of these little, all of these, speaking of more values I didn't have, all of these I had to order because I did have the values at one point, but that 48475 used up all my .0068 caps, and these are .0068 and .068 and .68. I think that's .68. Oh, .068, .0068. Oh, and this is 0022. Actually, you know what? I do have that. Oh well, I ordered it anyway. Anyhow, and a .0015, which I thought I had one. I've had one kicking around for a couple of years and I can't find it, but I will after the order comes. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this now. And I'll work on these, and also I think for this one, this 1 microfarad, I'm going to go ahead and use this 1 microfarad, and I think I'm going to tuck it down at the bottom and curl these up. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next segment.